can you do as far as just getting back to faster breakouts?
Yeah, D-zone breakouts were an issue the other day. Puck play in a hole. We went from a game on Saturday when we only turned it over 21 times the entire game, and then obviously we were in the high 30s, low 40s. So obviously that's what we worked on in practice today. Like a little poise, a little patience, a little more help. Everybody kind of wanting the puck. So even through some of our success early on, those D-zone breakouts were a little above league average. So, point of emphasis continue to work on. And I think it's a little bit, a lot of times in turnovers, people look at the person with the puck. A lot of time it's the help he gets away from the puck. And I think we just need a little bit better as a group with those.
Does that go back to the Minnesota game where you said it was your best win of the year? I mean, how much do you need to draw from that and look to that game? That's kind of a blueprint of how to do it.
I just think it was managing our game. If you compare the two games, I just talked about the difference in turnovers, and you talk about managing your game, penalties. We took one versus Minnesota, and we killed it, and we got some huge momentum. If you recall, that was the broken stick penalty kill, and the boys are very excited, got some jump out of that. This last game, we take 6 penalties. Penalty minutes, power play time was over 7 minutes for Buffalo, less than a minute for us. They had over a minute 5-on-3, and they had about 50 seconds, 45 seconds 4-on-3, and both their power play goals came on the tail end of the 5-on-3, 5-on-4. That's not managing your game. The most disappointing penalty for me and us as a group trying to manage that game, we got the game to 4-3, and we had a little push going. If you guys recall, we had Hronek all alone in the slot with the puck with a goalie screen. He just misses the net. And then shortly after that, we took a holding penalty 200 feet from our net. And at the time, it's 4-3. They make it 5-3 with 7 minutes left on that power play. So just, giving yourself no chance when you're giving up 7 minutes on the power play. It drains players. It gets our lines screwed up. There's not much flow to it. So, even that, managing our game, is going to be a bit different. We need to get back to where we were on Saturday.
What can you do? You get the favorable matchups now at home. Just looks like maybe juggling your lines a little bit, or kind of what are you looking for there?
Yeah, well, RAS helps. There's a huge, it spreads your line out. Gives you, that's your, on paper your third center. That's a big difference from what we've looked at in the last couple of games. But again, just matchups at home. Buffalo, if you go back to the game, it was going to be a tough matchup, period, because they have 4 extremely talented lines. And we got exposed a couple times. That home change, them able to get Thompson out on some favorable matchups. At least you get to manage it at home. And I thought, for the most part, we were able to do that against Minnesota. So that certainly does help. And I think, where our lineup is and trying to manage our game, I think the home change certainly helps.
What do you think about kind of the hand? I know you have the 2 righties on the same line in this one, and you guys don't have a ton of righties in general. Is that something that you don't mind doing at all?
Yeah, no, I don't. Well, the only right now, today's NHL, I think the biggest thing with the hands is the face-offs, getting your strong dot. I don't mind the wall play. I even think the NHL is, transforming a little bit where, most people, you're a righty, you play on your right side, but you can see some people now when they're flipping the hands because now you're picking that puck off the wall on your forehand. You can kind of shield it with your back. So I think the game's evolving a little bit on 2 ways you can look at the wing. You can look at the wing on the breakout, which you just described, or how they enter. So, I'm comfortable with guys playing on both hands, and sometimes when we get similar righty or lefty in the same line, it's more about a little chemistry, not so much the wall play or where they're entering.
Derek, in a perfect world, would you like more stability in your lines, or do you kind of like to see different people with different?
Yeah, that's a great question because, probably. If you can establish a line, you probably like to see some, but we're not. We're obviously not there right now. 1, through injury, but 2, just some ups and downs in our play. This felt like a really good time to mix some things up, and we have a center coming back in our lineup. So, Yeah, of course, I think you'd like some stability, but we're not there. I don't know when we'll get there.
I know you're doing warm-ups in the practice facility tomorrow, but is there going to be an opportunity to watch any of the pregame, or like is this something you hope can feed? It's a pretty special night.
Yeah, I'm not as excited about that of just seeing those guys around, having them around the room. Scotty Bowman, like we won our first Stanley Cup, and I came back, 2 days after winning the Stanley Cup, and I had Scotty Bowman's book personally signed to me. I mean, it's in my office. That's just, little things like that, just seeing those guys around. Ceremony would be neat, but I'm more excited about just seeing them around the room, meeting some of these guys, for me personally.
Scotty, one of those guys for you?
He's going to go down as maybe the greatest coach of all time. And, when I've gotten to know Scotty a little bit, over that COVID era, we had a coach's Zoom call. God, it started with like 15, 20, and there was 40, 50 on some nights. And it was really impressive the way I think Scotty was ahead of his game on how he managed people. And just to hear his stories and how he got player A to buy in, player B to buy in, X's and O's, it's a completely different game then. He's obviously was on top of it then, where he wouldn't have had that success, but he was way ahead of the curve on managing people and personalities. So, it's just neat. He's, again, going to go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. Just got lucky with the fact of him living close to Tampa, and he'd be there all the time. Got to meet him and know him a little bit. So I'll be very excited about seeing him.
It's warming up, too, in there. That's going to be a little different. Just, I don't know, any different plans or anything? Are you guys doing anything?
Yeah, no. I just think it's going to be exciting to have those guys around. For, the way I described it, I'm sure most of our guys would feel the same also.
Any particular players from that team that stood out to you that you watched as a fan back in the day?
Just a fun group. Not necessarily players, but just, again, everyone, the superstar teams. They had one team, you guys know how many Hall of Famers were on the one. It was ridiculous. But to me, it was the depth guys that were kind of neat, too. Obviously, they're still around. So that's how you build a winning team. Everyone will remember those Detroit teams with the superstars, no different than Tampa. This is a back-to-back celebration. I was involved in something. Everyone's going to remember the Stamkoses, the Kucherovs, but it was, in reality, the Sorellis, the Killorns, the Platts, the Pat Maroons, those type of guys, and I think you have that here too. It's the grind line. That's pretty cool, pretty special stuff.
All right, so if you could sneak one of them into your lineup, who would it be?
Is there a right shot center in there? I'm sure there's. I would take any of those guys, and again, also, yeah, Steve could take some face-offs. I think he'd win a few face-offs, so he'd probably help us in a lot of areas. But I think. And again, when you start to reflect back on those guys, it was, special players, but that you don't remember those guys from the special players. Remember, I saw an article today, and just those guys wanted to come to work every day, wanted to work hard every day, just little things like that. And then those are championship teams. I was very fortunate to be part of something like that, and that's where we want to be. And so I think it's pretty neat to have those guys around.
You said you were part of it, obviously. How difficult is it to win it back again?
Extremely difficult, especially in the way we did it in the bubble in that era. It's got to be a will to it, yeah. And again, I keep reflecting back to we're obviously in the middle of what we're trying to do here, but there are probably some correlations to the two teams, but I was most impressed. And we told the guys when we lost to Colorado in 6 games, we were more proud of getting to the Stanley. The 11 straight series wins was, to us as a staff and what we were trying to accomplish, was more special. That put us like 2 or 3 all time, something like that. That felt more special. We told our guys, and the way we did it, without Braden Point and what it was, that felt really special. And again, you talk to guys on these Detroit teams, it'll be amazing. The things that they would remember. Again, I don't think it's going to be we had the best team in the world. It's going to remember the process and how they won, which is pretty cool.
How valuable is it? I mean, a lot of those guys from the 97, 98 teams are still around. Obviously, Steve Yzerman, Nick Lidstrom, Chris Draper.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love those guys being around. There's a swagger to it. There's a confidence to it. Even the way those guys talk. I know again, my 2 cups, they scoff at. Poor Cleary hears it every day. He only won 1, like those guys. But I think that's real. Those guys, getting to the top of this league is so hard. And the way they did it and the way they stayed there, they had to go through adversity too. And, it got to a point, could that team win? It's almost uncanny, the experience we had in Tampa with this team. So they had to start somewhere, and it's a great reference. We are somewhere in that process that they were, years, I don't know how, they were where we were at one time, and even worse, as you guys know. So just neat to have that history within your organization. Great question. Wallman, he's practicing. I'd probably maybe put him at a week away. Sonny not skating again today. I don't know if he had a setback, but that probably puts him out of that day-to-day. We're just hoping it's an upper body injury that's not long-term, but it's obviously kept him out. So no exact time frame on either of those guys. Thanks, guys.